Emily Carter was 29, a graphic designer who'd saved for years to buy her first home in Willow Creek, a tidy suburban neighborhood in Raleigh, North Carolina. The house was modest, a two-bedroom with a small yard, but it was hers, a milestone after years of renting. She'd chosen Willow Creek for its quiet streets and proximity to her freelance clients, but she hadn't anticipated the neighborhood's HOA or its president, Linda Brooks. Linda, 53, was a retired school administrator who ran the Willow Creek HOA like her personal fiefdom. Known for her sharp emails and clipboard inspections, she enforced rules with an iron grip. No unapproved mailboxes, no weeds over 3 inches, no cars parked on the street overnight. Emily read the HOA handbook when she moved in, determined to avoid trouble. She kept her lawn neat, her trash cans hidden, and her old Honda Civic parked in her driveway. But trouble found her anyway. It started 3 months after Emily moved in. Linda's house was across the street, and her silver SUV, a gleaming Lexus, began appearing in front of Emily's driveway. At first, it was occasional, blocking half the entrance for an hour or two. Emily left a polite note on the windshield. "Please don't block my driveway. Thanks." Linda ignored it. Soon, the SUV was there almost daily, sometimes for hours, forcing Emily to squeeze her car through a narrow gap or park on the street, risking an HOA fine. Emily tried talking to Linda directly. She knocked on her door one evening, smiling despite her frustration. "Hi, Linda. I've noticed your car's been blocking my driveway a lot," she said. "Could you park somewhere else?" Linda barely looked up from her phone. "It's a public street, Emily. I'm not breaking any rules. If you don't like it, talk to the HOA." She shut the door before Emily could respond. Emily checked the HOA rules. They didn't explicitly address driveway blocking, but they prohibited obstructing access to private property. She emailed Linda, citing the rule and attaching photos of the SUV blocking her driveway. Linda's reply was curt. "Your driveway is wide enough. Stop overreacting." Emily forwarded the email to the HOA board, but no one responded. She later learned Linda's husband was the board's treasurer, and most members were her friends. The situation worsened. Linda started parking the SUV fully across Emily's driveway, sometimes overnight. Emily missed a client meeting once because she couldn't get her car out. She called the non-emergency police line, but the officer said it was a civil matter and suggested she contact the HOA. Emily tried again, sending a formal complaint to the board with timestamps and photos. This time, Linda responded with a fine for Emily's excessive complaints, claiming they violated the HOA's Community Harmony Clause. Emily wasn't one to back down. She'd grown up in a working-class family, learning early to stand up for herself. She researched her options, finding a local ordinance that allowed property owners to tow vehicles blocking private driveways. She called a tow company, Apex Towing, and explained the situation. The owner, Mike, said they could tow the SUV if Emily provided proof it was blocking her access. She started documenting every instance, dates, times, photos, even videos of her struggling to maneuver around the SUV. For weeks, Emily held off, hoping Linda would stop. She left more notes, sent more emails, even tried talking to other neighbors. Most sympathized but were afraid of Linda's influence. One neighbor, Sarah, whispered that Linda had once fined a family $1,000 for an unapproved fence, driving them to move. Emily realized diplomacy wasn't working. Linda was betting on her giving up. Then came the breaking point. On a Friday evening, Emily came home from a long day to find the SUV parked diagonally across her driveway, blocking it entirely. She had a deadline the next morning and needed to get her car out early. She knocked on Linda's door, but no one answered. She called Apex Towing. Mike arrived within an hour, a burly man with a no-nonsense attitude. He inspected the SUV, confirmed it was blocking Emily's driveway, and hooked it up to his tow truck. "Where do you want it?" he asked. Emily hesitated. She could have it towed to the impound lot, but Linda would just pay the fee and retrieve it. She wanted to make a point. "Can you take it somewhere hard to find?" she asked. "Somewhere legal, but out of the way." Mike raised an eyebrow, but nodded. "I know a place. Private lot. About 40 miles out, used for overflow storage. It's legal, but it ain't exactly on Google Maps. Emily agreed, signing the paperwork. As the tow truck pulled away, she felt a mix of relief and unease. She wasn't vindictive by nature, but Linda had pushed her too far. The next morning, Emily woke to a flurry of texts from Sarah. Linda's freaking out. Her car's gone. Emily stayed quiet, working on her project and avoiding the street. By noon, Linda was knocking on doors, asking if anyone had seen her SUV. She called the police, who came and took a report, but they had no leads. Emily's security camera showed the tow truck, but she hadn't shared the footage, and the police didn't ask. Linda's behavior changed after that. She stopped parking on Emily's driveway, but she doubled down on her HOA enforcement, issuing fines for minor infractions across the neighborhood. Emily's fine for excessive complaints was upheld, and she received another for a non-compliant mailbox. She paid them, not wanting to escalate further, but she started attending HOA meetings, something she'd avoided before. At the next meeting, Linda was in rare form, ranting about vandalism and disrespect in the neighborhood. Emily sat in the back, silent, as neighbors glanced her way. Sarah had figured out Emily was behind the tow. Mike had let it slip to a friend, but she didn't say anything. Emily spoke up only once, asking for clarification on the driveway rule. Linda's face reddened, but she couldn't answer without admitting her own violation. The room was tense, and the meeting ended early. Weeks passed, and Linda's SUV remained missing. The private lot, as Mike had promised, was obscure, a fenced-off field near a rural junkyard, used by tow, company for long-term storage. Linda hired a private investigator, but he found nothing. The tow paperwork listed Apex Towing, but Mike, loyal to Emily, said the SUV had been misrouted and was untraceable. Emily didn't ask for details. She just wanted it gone. The neighborhood dynamic shifted. Linda's authority weakened as residents grew bolder, challenging her fines and questioning her decisions. At the annual HOA election, Sarah ran for president and won, backed by neighbors fed up with Linda's reign. Linda stepped down, citing personal commitments, but rumors spread that she was humiliated by the SUV debacle. Emily never admitted her role, but the story became a quiet legend in Willow Creek. Neighbors stopped parking carelessly, and the new HOA board revised the rules, adding a clear policy against blocking driveways. Emily's life settled back into routine: work, gardening, the occasional coffee with Sarah. She didn't regret towing the SUV. It had been a last resort, a way to reclaim her space in a neighborhood that felt like it was suffocating her. Linda moved away a year later, selling her house at a loss. Some said she was still searching for her SUV, calling tow companies across the state. Emily didn't care. She'd learned to protect her boundaries, and Willow Creek was better for it. The tow wasn't about revenge. It was about respect, and Emily had earned hers the hard way.